Well, some of this relates to what I was speaking before about the way attention faculties have been compromised in some ways by our modern technology. And just to be clear, we mentioned the positives of the modern technologies. This is not a strictly negative view. But if a man's attention is scattered and divided, it's going to be difficult for him to find that forward gear. So we often have this saying, "forward gear only," which is not meant in that idiot sense of the phrasing that at times in life, obviously, you need to put on the brakes or maybe go in reverse in certain situations. But by and large, the forward gear only is a very useful kind of mantra to remember, because it speaks to this need to be consistent in life, that there are very little results in life without consistency. It's a great story of I think it was from the old Sufi traditions of a king and a magician. And the magician challenges the king to some sort of a contest. He says, here's a chessboard. And he says, put one grain of rice on one square and double it for each square going forward. So 1 on one square, 2 on 2, 4 on the next, 8 on the next, 16 on the next, and so forth. And the magician says to the king, by the time you get to the entire chessboard, you're not going to have enough rice in your entire kingdom to fill up this chessboard. And he makes a bet with him. He says, I'll bet you won't have enough rice. And if I win the bet, you have to give me X, Y, Z. And the king thinks he's an idiot, right? Because he's got so much rice, he's got a huge kingdom. So he said, go ahead. He takes up the challenge. He starts putting it on there. And sure enough, by mathematical progression, it gets to a point where it's an astronomical number. By the end of the 64th square on the chessboard, he doesn't have enough. And so the moral of that story is that all the success in life comes from consistency, getting up to speed, so to speak, right? Or like a car when it's working through its gears, when it gets to a cruising speed, or an airplane when it takes off, needs a lot of power to take off, and then it gets to cruising speed, it can throttle back the engine somewhat, and maybe gets the assist of jet streams and so forth. So there's all kinds of helping forces in life that come on board and are incorporated into our being and into our path once we get up to speed. But we can only get up to speed with that consistency. We can't do it without the consistency. The courage aspect comes in because what knocks us off of that consistency tends to be fear more than anything else. The doubts that I will not be able to perform if I get to this certain point, or that I won't be able to draw to me the support that I would need in order to get my project to be on a certain point. And so the courage is the antidote to the fear. But the old saying, fortune favors the bold, applies here, because there won't be any fortune favoring us if we're not bold. And how do you be bold if you don't have courage? It could seem like a bit of a catch-22, but in fact, there's the possibility to make a choice at any given moment to lean in the direction of courage, to lean in the direction of being bold, even if we don't feel like we're fully ready to be completely bold. And in the context of what we were talking about before, our men's meetings, this happens all the time, simply in our communications with each other in a group, where somebody says something that you have a real issue with, you don't like it, or it's rubbed you the wrong way, or you think you have an objective consideration that would really help them with what they're saying, but you don't say it because of the fear of the other disliking you or disapproving of you or attacking you or what have you. And so the guy ends up sitting on this communication instead. And in the context of a men's group, he has the opportunity to practice leaning in the direction of courage by taking a risk. So this is the other thing in life. There is nothing possible without, most significant things in life are not possible without occasionally taking risks. Because this is how we grow, right? The bird has to jump off the cliff to find out it has wings. It's never going to find out unless it, or at least jumps off of maybe one small step to find out that it actually has wings that work, right? So courage and moving forward in life tends to be an essential ingredient for men. Generalizing here, of course, it applies to women as well too, but particularly I found for men, this ability to take initiative and tackle things in life with gusto and with maybe even a little bit of bravado from time to time, or a little bit of belief in himself is so important for that sense of feeling good about himself at the end of the day, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the other moral of that story that you told for me is that if you're going to be a king, you need to learn basic math so that your
right.
magician can't outsmart you with a simple game. But I definitely, I love what you're saying about courage, because I have often felt many times in my life like holding back, or like, you know, I can be arrogant, certainly, but I can also be excessively humble. I'm like, why should I start a podcast? There's lots of podcasts out there. Why should I speak up? Why should I be a leader? There's lots of other leaders out there. I'm not ready yet, you know? And I think a lot of men have these stories internally. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen the men's group rally around a guy when he's self-doubting, when he's got some fear going on, and he's not sure what the outcome is going to be, but he has an opportunity in front of him. He's not sure he wants to take it. And the guys in the group light a fire under him. Like, dude, go do that thing. Get after it. Like, you got this, man. We believe in you. Like, you don't see yourself like we do. And we know that you can get that job. We know that you can kill that interview. We know that you can start that business. And the men can help a guy with courage, you know, because when we're lost in our own minds, it's easy for that to run the show. So having other men to remind us, like, hey, bro, gather courage, move forward. Forward gear only. You're having a bad day. You're having a bad week. Keep moving forward. Like, we've got your back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and again, you look at this famous old Roman saying, I believe it was, the fortune favors the bold. The magic that happens when the boldness is tackled or is manifested is the good fortune that tends to come about afterwards, right? And this touches on some of the things we were talking about before about the planetary aim versus the personal aim, right? So the personal aim is going to be the courage, and the good fortune is going to be that planetary quality that comes in where you're helped by things that are outside of your egosphere. And that ties in very much with the other code of serving a cause greater than yourself, right? So a lot of this whole thing that we're talking about here in men's work and in your life and so forth is stepping outside of the limited confines of the personal self. In many of the wisdom traditions, they talk about how the personal self is a construct. It doesn't have a lot of reality beyond our limited views of it. And there's something much greater that we're part of. Whereas Kabir once said, the famous poet, the fish in the ocean is not thirsty. The fish in the ocean is not thirsty. Why would they be? Because they're in a vast ocean. And yet we're walking around thinking that we're thirsty because we're not tapped into the vast ocean that is around us, all the energy that is available to us. This also touches on another important piece, which is the second wind, right? So the idea of courage, launching a project or saying something to someone in such a way that validates that you have something of worth to say. Oftentimes we abort the process, right, by not making a strong enough initial effort. But when we make that initial effort, what happens at some point in time is that we tap into the second wind. And the second wind comes up when we want to give up in life. So very often in life, we make efforts, we're getting a certain amount of progression. And because of the resistances that will occur in life, this is the law of three, make an action and experience a counteraction and keep going in order to have a higher synthesis of the two. But because of that resistance in life, we fail to tap into the greater energy that's around us, that ocean of infinite energy that's around us, because we're not accessing the power of the second wind, the second effort, right? Guys are giving up too soon. People are giving up too soon. So, yeah.